You break a lot of dishes, don't you? Grandma and grandpa, right? I heard that, and I heard in Jamaica, apparently. So I was like, oh, it's endearing. That's what I heard too. So I guess I have a whole soul.
There you go. Beautiful old soul.
Na power bank.
Hello, everybody. We're about to get started. If everybody can just start making their way to the front, that'd be wonderful. We got a lot of room on the left side over here. It'd be wonderful for you guys to start coming through. You guys hear me? Can you hear me now? Does everybody hear me? No?
Stop talking.
I need the volume up. Does everybody hear me now? All right. All right. We need it louder. Hopefully without the feedback. All right. So for those of you who are in the back, please feel free to make your way to the front. We have a lot of room on the left side over here. If you do feel comfortable enough coming to the front. It'd be nice to see some of you come through. But what I'd like to ask right now, everybody, for everybody to stand, we're going to just go into the national anthem. So I ask everybody to please stand.
Thank
Welcome everyone to this historic moment in time. I am your co-host, Opa Hope Day, MP candidate for Scarborough-Gilwood. I have been a resident of Scarborough for 33 years and Scarborough-Gilwood for the past 11. I seek to finally provide representation to my community for all members, regardless of their race, culture, ethnicity, sex, political affiliation, medical choice, or religion. Again, by politicians for all major parties. The two most recent betrayals from both Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau, stripping our community members of the right to choose, shutting down the businesses we have spent our lives, and some of us, our life savings building. They have so many into poverty.
Yep.
And the actions have also driven up violent crimes in our community.
Yes, and homelessness.
And homelessness. I do not come to you as a politician. I come to you as a mother, a former South Toronto Outreach Program development worker, and an entrepreneur who has witnessed the unconscionable harm caused to children, families, and the desolation of small businesses by Ford and his MPPs, enabled by the NDP, Green, and Liberal. They all are. Accountability in government must occur. After justice. Scarborough-Gilwood deserves someone committed to this occurring in Queen's Park. And with your help, it would be me.
Hello, everybody, and good evening. My name is Rain Vega. I am the candidate for Scarborough Agent Court. I don't know if you're an Agent Court Scarborough, but all right, I like it. We got some Scarborough. All right, we'll talk later. It's a real pleasure for me to be co-hosting with OPA with this great event and be surrounded by all of you tonight. You know, if you were to tell me a year ago that I'd be running as a candidate for the New Blue Party, I would have laughed you right out of the room. Thank you. But here I am with all of you in Cambridge, Ontario. And we all know who runs Cambridge, Ontario. You know, these past 2 years has done a lot of damage. We've lost our friends, lost some family, lost our jobs, and sometimes our mental health and well-being.
And freedom.
So many things we've lost. I think we all collectively agree, yes?
Yep.
And that's why I'm here. Because we can't allow the establishment to keep damaging the province any longer. It's time for change.
Yep.
Say it again. It's time for change. It's time to take our province back.
That's right.
And that's why, come June 2nd, we are going to vote So that leads me into the history of New Blue. And I'll open up and start with Doug Ford.
couldn't hide behind that.
So Doug Ford was elected the leader of the PCs back March 10th, 2018. And shortly after that, Belinda decided to run for the nomination in Cambridge. And not only did she win the nomination within 2 weeks, but she eventually won as MPP, and thank God for that. And then in November, Jim Carhalios, her husband, decided to run for the presidency of the PC party. And the thing is with that, folks, is that he was favored to win. But, due to ballot stuffing and election rules being breached, he didn't win. And instead, Brian Patterson, Doug Ford's buddy, hand-picked candidate, took on the presidency. So that led Belinda to introduce legislation, something called Bill 150, to have transparency and integrity in provincial elections. And guess what happened, though? Doug Ford prevented it from getting to a third reading and then finally killed it. Shame. Why would he do that, though? What party wouldn't want election integrity? Which tells you everything you need to know about Doug Ford's PC party. And then COVID hit. COVID hit, and Doug Ford introduced Bill 195, the Reopening Ontario Act, when in reality, it should have been called the Shutdown People Forever Act. So Belinda read the bill, as she does with every piece of legislation. And she voted against it. She voted no. And when she was interviewed about that and asked her, hey, Belinda, why did you vote no to that? She said, well, it's government overreach, and not only that, unnecessary government overreach. But Doug Ford didn't like that. He didn't like what she said. He didn't like the fact that she voted it down. So what did he do? He expelled her from the PC caucus. But we gotta be grateful, folks.
The best thing ever!
The best thing Doug Ford has ever done was expel her.
Come on now.
Because that led Jim and Belinda to create the New Blue Party of Ontario. None of us would be here. None of us would be here if it wasn't for that. So we're here to celebrate, aren't we, Opa?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you so much. Yes, we are. Round of applause, Rain. It's an exciting evening. The official launch of the New Blue campaign. Official launch. And I know all of our hearts are in it to win it. Heart is at the core of each 124 candidates registered and confirmed. Grit, when others who have been on paper for 5 years and those present for over 100 years, the New Blue Party had determination and did it in 1.5 years. With passion for Ontario. You know why we were able to do that? Leadership. Leadership sets the tone. The captains of a team sets the tone. When you have leadership whose heart invested interest is for the people, promises are followed, through plans are executed, laser focus and mission have grit. When you have captains who don't have a plan B, C, D, or F waiting, it is felt and it draws magnetically those who have determination for the same common goal. The leadership of Belinda and Jim Carvalho set a tone for all attainable change, and many Ontarians felt it without ever meeting them. These captains made heart connections with Ontarians, regardless of ethnic, cultural, or religious definition. You know why? They were not just leadership, they were ethical leadership. Ethical leadership brought Ontarians together and made 124 take the confident step to assist in taking our legislator back. Back out of the swamp of corruption, dishonesty, and fiscal irresponsibility that have taken up residence within Queen's Park. Ethical leadership that will move with transparency for the real growth of Ontario. The return of dignity and respect for all Ontarians. That is ethical leadership. That is Jim and Belinda Carvalho. Cambridge, you make sure Belinda returns to Queen Park. So on the agenda for tonight, we will be spotlighting 6 candidates as they take you through their journey from private citizen to New Blue candidate. You'll also hear from the heart of Cambridge, the one and only Belinda Carvalho. And to then cap it off, the night, your leader and my leader will inspire you with a rousing speech that only Jim can deliver. But first, a few announcements. Candidates, you find there is a New Blue backdrop for your photo ops with each other, friends, family, and supporters right at the back. There are refreshments at the back, and there will be a late night snack provided once the speeches are all over. Candidates, please remember, on your way out tonight, to take there's boxes full of literature and generic science home with you. Please remember to do that, okay? Yes. Okay, we want to make sure we paint Ontario blue, near blue, blue, near blue. When I say new, you say blue. New, new. When I say blue, you say Jim and Belinda blue. All right, Rain, take it over.
I love it. Thank you very much, Opa. So, with all of that beautiful verbiage being said, I do want to introduce our first 3 candidates to the stage. So please welcome me, or welcome me, yeah. Please welcome me. Please join me in welcoming Heidi Jabber from Scarborough Asian Court, Scarborough Center, Connie Oldenburger from Oxford, and Stephen Kitchers from Wellington, Halton Hills. Give them a round of applause.
The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those that speak it. 1984, George Orwell. For the past 2 years, misleading information has continued to be promulgated by mainstream media, while at the same time suppressing evidence and science that is counter to the government and the controlled narrative. 2 weeks to flatten the curve, they said. Our government's COVID strategy has failed. Good evening, everyone. My name is Heidi Jabber. I'm a New Blue candidate for Scarborough Center. I'm a naturopathic doctor with a background in pharmacology. I'm a wife and a mother to 4 beautiful children. I first met Jim the first week of the trucker convoy, and I knew he was a freedom fighter. I've been following Belinda for the past year on Instagram. I admired her fearlessness. She's the only member in Parliament challenging Doug Ford in the PC government. As a result of Doug Ford's policies, Ontarians lost their jobs, they lost their education, they lost their rights to worship. Our hospitals and healthcare system was strained. Mental health crisis in our children increased, and so much more. But Belinda was there, opposing the perpetual lockdowns that have kept Ontarians suffering and in fear. She opposed the measures of masking, social distancing, and school closures, which result in a loss of human connection. This is detrimental to our children's development and well-being. She opposed Bill 100 on the right to protest in Ontario. If it wasn't for Belinda's strong beliefs in standing up to these draconian measures, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Thank you, Belinda. We need transparency. We need transparency in our healthcare. We need integrity, accountability at all levels of the government. I am excited to be part of the new Conservative Party of Ontario that was formed to offer solutions necessary to ensure our province's future is one of hope, opportunity, and prosperity. As a new Blue candidate, I will be committed to doing what's right. I want to help build strong families by protecting family values. I want to promote individuals to make decisions in their own best interests and encourage free will. We are only strong when we all have a voice. Finally, it's because of my children, all of our children, that I seek the right way forward, and the new Blue Party of Ontario will move us forward in the right direction, with strength, with stability, liberty, and good government. As an MPP for Scarborough Centre, you can count on me to do the right thing. Thank you, and what a wonderful turnout.
First of all, it's an honor and a privilege to be standing here with so many brave people who just want to make a difference and just want to be heard. We have gone through what felt like a long, hard, dark winter. And here we are. Spring has come, and with it hope. We've been tried by fire, under immense pressure the last 2 years, but we've come out strengthened, not weakened. Stronger in our beliefs, our character, and our resolve to be the change, and that is New Blue. I was born and raised in Woodstock, Ontario, and for most of my life, I've gone to school, worked, raised my children, volunteered, and participated in activities in Oxford County. My husband and I keep busy on our farm just outside of Tavistock with horses, goats, and chickens. Sounds like a country bumpkin. We have 5 children, 1 granddaughter, and 2 more on the way. I also work as a full-time civilian member in the Court Services Division of a large local urban police service. Working in regional prisoner management and our court system has given me a unique worldview, empathy for others, and the ability to problem solve. In the past, I've always trusted that the people who were voted into power were working in the best interest of the Canadian population, and the events of the last 2 years have changed my mind completely. I've been vocal about how our government has chosen to manage the COVID-19 pandemic and other current issues. It has solidified my belief that I must step forward to exact change, and I've been following the mantra of, if not me, then who? People are my passion. So the many roles that I've had, wife, mother, school bus driver, retail clerk, banking supervisor, and now, have prepared me to stand here and serve you. I've been serving my community for decades. I know what it's like to work hard for paychecks, to try to feed a family on a tight budget, to pay for schooling and tuck away some extra cash for a rainy day. The people of Ontario need leaders who can identify with their struggles and issues. I am an average person trying to make ends meet, and I will hear your concerns and ideas from that perspective. I feel called to be here, actually, and I'm sure everyone that's here does too. My inspiration is not a what, but a who, and again, that's Belinda. I have followed her on social media and watched her tirelessly fight for what is right, for standing alone in Parliament, still making a difference, striving to bring attention to what matters. She is one person, but look how that can make a difference. We will make this a better Ontario, one person at a time. And for our children, our grandchildren, and those who follow in the future. That's how I plan on winning my riding, one person at a time. And I'm excited for this challenge and stand with all of you for the New Blue.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for Lilo and Jackie for allowing me to speak here, and thank you to Belinda and Jim for starting the New Blue Party. I will not have to plug my nose anymore when I vote in Ontario. My name is Stephen Kittredge, and I'm the New Blue candidate for Wellington Halton Hills. I've lived in Centre Wellington for 34 years, and I moved there from Toronto to start my glass blowing business. I'm married to my wife, Pat, who's here with me, and we have 6 children in a blended family and 7 grandchildren. We are widowed, and we were married during COVID times. I started my business as a one-person design craftsperson, but now with my 2 daughters, it is a multinational, the largest hand-blown glass manufacturing in Canada and United States, and we export all over. I'm a municipal councillor, and I've been there for 2 terms in the municipality of Centre Wellington. And I can tell you that self-employment is not an easy task. Nope. But politics, if, and I say if, you really stand up for taxpayers and for your residents, is the hardest job that I have ever done. And my experience is if you stand up and do the right thing, and you don't follow the group thinking of the status quo, you're going to get whacked and abused. I'm here speaking to you about the New Blue because my experience in life, business, and politics is basically you have to stand your ground. You have to do what's right, and you have to do it every day.
Yes.
When I read about Jim and Belinda's story, it resounded with me. I sent an email and I said, I really like it when you keep standing up, when others are continuously knocking you down over and over again. Yeah. And this inspires me that we have leaders already in the New Blue that are doing the right thing and something that I've done my whole life. And that inspires me because I can join this party with a clear conscience. We all are here basically because Belinda stood up in the legislature and said no to bad legislation. And truckers rallied the whole nation and scared our little dictator government basically because they said no mandates and they stood up. And we're all here standing up for others, challenging the direction of the giant mess that this province is in. I look forward to standing up to the Speaker of the House, who is the MPP for Wellington Halton Hills, who marched Belinda out of the legislature after she followed all the COVID protocols and treated her like a common criminal. I look forward to getting to know all of you, all 124 candidates, and I wish you the best in your campaigns to be the new blue party.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So our next second set of candidates. Ashlyn Steele, Barry Innisfil, Spencer Ford, Durham, Victor Ekikwe, Etobicoke Center.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ashlyn Steele, and I am the candidate for the Barry Innisfil riding. Just a little background about myself. I have been working as a licensed paralegal for the past 7 years. I've been representing injured workers across Ontario, obtaining benefits that they are entitled to, that they've been cut off from the government. Woo! Aside from law, I've always had a desire to understand and learn how politics work in my province. In 2018, I was pretty happy when the PC party won because I thought we were actually going to see some change after the Wynne Liberal disaster that we had. However, as we've all seen from the past 4 years, Doug Ford does not live up to the Ford name, and our province has continued to run awry. Over the last 4 years, I've seen the PCs, the NDPs, and the Liberal parties become so friendly that there is absolutely no opposition right now in Queen's Park. We have started to see bills be passed with absolutely no questions whatsoever. And we have started to see our province take a turn right towards a one opinion, one voice, one government.
Yep.
Something none of us want here. The last 2 years, specifically in my life, have been very important. It's at a time that I was looking to buy my first home and hopefully build a family of my own and have kids. Instead, I have been left with the question of if my province is ever going to be affordable for me and my future kids. And I've also felt the complete unnecessary overreach of government control. The more I felt my freedoms, my rights, and my future parental rights being stripped, I knew I could not just sit around and complain about wanting change. I needed to stand up and try and create a change. I initially thought, how can I get in and change the PC party? Had pretty high hopes and dreams at that point in time. But as we've heard now, and we all know from our own MPP, Belinda Carahalios, the second you disagree with anything, you are booted from the PC caucus.
Yeah.
So around 2021, I started Google searching alternative conservative parties in Ontario. I came across two parties, and thankfully one of them was the New Blue Party of Ontario. I started to read about the New Blues platform, what they were working for, and of their goal to have a full slate of 124 candidates come June 2nd. The more I read about Jim and Belinda's story, and especially with the PC party, I knew that this was not just a party built on a distraction branch. I knew it was a party built for the exact reason to make change in this province. As my journey continued, I started watching Belinda every single day in Queen's Park. Every day I saw her stand up for Ontarians, made me want to push as hard as she did and want to be standing up there right beside her in Queen's Park for us. That is how I came to decide to run as a candidate in the Barrie Innisfil riding for the New Blue Party. And the reason I chose New Blue every single day just proves that I made the right choice. Every single time Belinda states, we are for this, and now all of a sudden she goes to Queen's Park and stands up and does what she said she was going to do. We've heard the past 4 years talk and talk and talk. More so now come the June 2nd election coming up. All the promises are coming back that they falsely made way back 4 years prior. I'm tired of the talk with no action. The difference that the New Blue Party makes is that we set our values and our goals, and we've already gone there to Queen's Park and stood up and shown you that we do exactly what we're going to say. The past 7 years, I've been working for Ontarians. I want to continue my fight now at Queen's Park as an MPP for the New Blue Party. I want to thank you all for coming out here, for your continued support, and for all of you that are going to vote New Blue on June 2nd to get more of our voices in Queen's Park ongoing.
Oh. You're not Spencer. Yeah, and I heard Spencer Ford there, just off topic for a second. I'm not related to Doug Ford. Just so you know. Let's get that straight right now. He needs to go.
You wouldn't admit it if you were.
Look at me.
Right? You wouldn't want that.
So hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for being here officially to launch the New Blue Party campaign and to be part of this historic event. I'm honored and excited to be here with all of you warriors and for stepping up for our freedom, the rule of law, and our democracy. And you know what I'm talking about. Like I said, my name is Spencer Ford, and I'm a New Blue Party candidate for the riding of Durham. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and why I chose the New Blue Party. I joined the Canadian Infantry right out of high school at the age of 18 years old. I served 10 years in the infantry, including 4 years in West Germany as part of NATO back in the day. Not aging myself much. I was part of the intelligence section there for my battalion. My job there was collate, evaluate, and disseminate information to the commanding officer. I also served overseas with the United Nations, and I did a peacekeeping tour in former Yugoslavia during the war.
Thank you.
Once I started my family, I decided to re-muster into the military police, where I did 4 years in Victoria, BC at a naval base. The pay in the military at the time was not so great back then, unfortunately, so I decided to go into civilian policing where the pay was a little better. I joined the Toronto Police Service from Victoria, BC, and was accepted and hired onto Toronto Police 54 Division, where I served 5 years in Toronto. After that, I was living in Durham region, and thank you. I'm glad I'm not there now, but thank you. I was living in Durham Region at the time, and it was quite a commute, so I decided to switch over to Durham Regional Police Service in the community in which I lived. While I was a serving officer, I started a successful landscaping business as well. This allowed me to transition into my business full-time when I finished my policing career at 50 years old. And I'm only 50 in 1 month, no. Based on my career, as you can see, I'm about defending this country and the rule of law.
Yes.
I swore, thank you. I swore 2 oaths in my careers. The first one being before God that I would defend this country from foreign and domestic enemies. And I also swore another one to uphold the Constitution, defend the rule of law, and to execute my duties without bias. And that's exactly what I intend on doing. In the past 2 years, during this pandemic, I saw all levels of government and all political parties trample our Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. These are the supreme law of the land and the basis for free and democratic society. It became clear to me that our democracy was under attack, and their tyrannical left-wing agenda had to be stopped. It when that I decided to take action and become involved politically. I did my research, policing background, intelligence background, and who did I come up with? The New Blue Party. And under the leadership of Jim and Belinda, the party was for me. It was clear that they were true warriors, that they held the same core values, which are moral integrity, a sense of duty, and to uphold the rule of law without bias. This party will represent the so-called fringe minority. I think they're going to be mistaken in this election. That they have been censored and silenced. I personally will represent my constituents in Durham with integrity and give them a voice in Queen's Park. Now they will finally have an opportunity in this election to have a voice for the freedom of choice.
That's right.
This is a battle we must not lose. For the future of our children and our democracy depend on it. I call on all my brothers and sisters here today to rally your support wherever you are in this province. You get support to your candidate and your volunteers, and find the other warriors in your area.
Yes.
Nothing changes if nothing changes. That make sense to you? So we must fight like this, like our life depends on it, because it does. We can win this battle. We can balance the narrative and restore democracy to this province and ultimately this great nation. So many have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom, and I've known some of them. It is now our duty and time to fight. As a veteran, I am honored to be part of this amazing team of freedom fighters right here. And I thank you for all your service. We can do this. We can do this together. Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
I stand here with you by the grace of God. The God who the founding fathers honored. And he said, God keep our land glorious and free. My name is Victor Ehikwe. I'm an immigrant to Canada from Nigeria. I am a pastor, a private investigator. And the MPP candidate of Etobicoke North. Yes, that's right. The riding of Etobicoke North. I plan to unseat Doug Ford. A few years ago, I settled into Canadian life with my family, learning firsthand from interactions within my community and church ministry about the struggles, pain, and suffering pressed upon the people and families of our great province. Hardest hit has been the retirees and the aged population, the single-parent households, and the people with disabilities, addiction, and mental health. Sadly, a replica of the corrupted governance that I fled from my country of origin has been exposed in Ontario. With the emergence of a global pandemic, suddenly citizens lost all rights to body autonomy, free speech, faith, mobility rights, with divisive rhetoric, and the government superimposing itself into race, gender, education, and more taxation with every excuse.
Exactly.
Our government has embraced an unrealistic global reset that seeks to enslave us, to make us own nothing and be happy. Why the elites and corporations own everything. With every bit of disappointing news of mismanagement that I read, there came comments, complaints, and nobody was willing to do anything about it. It was all just talk. Like everyone else, I was discouraged and nearly lost hope until I came in contact with Jim and Belinda Carahalios. I learned about how this family has been leading a fight to emancipate the people of Ontario under the New Blue Party. In the book of Genesis 37, a story was recorded about a young, happy Joseph who was given a coat of many colors by his father. He was sold to men from the east as a slave by his beloved brothers who were supposed to protect and guide him. Ladies and gentlemen, our brothers who swore by our Charter of Rights to protect us have also sold us out as slaves to a life of toil and labor owned by foreign interests. However, the good news is that the outcome ends well by God's purposing. Joseph declared to his brothers who sold him, "What you meant for evil, God has turned around for my good." The evil that the world leaders are embracing is expected to turn around for our good in June. And our hope, prayers, and expectation are that Jim Carahalios will be premier. of Ontario. And Ontario will rejoice under the plan of the New Blue Party. That's right. God, that the founding fathers of Canada honored to keep his land, to keep this land, is still able. And we expect him to be with us in Ontario and Canada to keep us glorious, free, through gold and blue. Thank you.
Round of applause for all 6 candidates. Come on up, come on up, come on up. Ladies, come on up. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, round of applause, come on. All right, let's hear it, let's hear it. When I say you, you say blue, you. When I say you, you say blue, you. When I say no, you say blue. No. No. When I say no, you say blue. No. No.
Well, everybody, that was exciting. And it's so great to hear the passion, right? The passion and everything that they share, and we all collectively share. But the time has come. The time has now come, and it's my great honor to introduce to you the Queen of Queen's Park. The lioness, the one and only Belinda.
There's a lot of you guys here today. Just so you know, Forest Fest, or whatever it was yesterday, had almost the same number, but I think we beat them. Which is saying something. It says that we are here for change. Change is in the air. I can feel it. The energy here is amazing. Thank you. Good evening. I'm so pleased to see so many of you here today. The parking lot was packed to the brim. And how many of us, 4 years ago, could have predicted that we would be here right now? Yes.
Turn up the volume, please. Self support.
You have to hold it close to your mouth.
Oh, yeah, that's better. That's better. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So, you are here today because you support the New Blue Party of Ontario.
That's right.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I know many of you support me and the work that I did at Queen's Park. Yes. Taking the PC Party to account for their horrible leftist policies and their governing based on polls and public opinion. You support the party leader, my husband, Jim Carvalho.
Yes.
Who has persevered through cancer, chemotherapy, and reconstructive leg surgery. Wow. And thank
you especially to all of you who reached out and offered your prayers and support during that time. You have no idea how much that means to us and meant to us at the time. Jim went through this all while building the New Blue Party, and while he was supporting me and the work that I did at Queen's Park. And he continued to take the time to be a loving father to our son, Victor. You are here to support the many volunteers who have spent countless hours doing all of the necessary and vital behind-the-scenes work that we could not have done without them. So a big thank you to all of the volunteers. You support the 124 people who stepped up to put their names on the ballot and who will knock on doors for the next 30 days to make sure that the good people of Ontario know that there is a better option on the ballot for the June
Queen's Park.
I sure do. And so I know most people finish with thank yous, but I'm starting with my thank yous because I think it's really important. Thank you for your support. We would not be here today if it wasn't for each and every single one of you here right now.
Yes.
So, Ontario. Ontario has had 3 parties, the PCs, the Liberals, and the NDP. And they have agreed on almost everything over the last 4 years. And ironically, and some of you may know this, the PCs are now calling themselves the Party of Yes. So the Party of Yes.
The party of yesterday.
Well, that's way better than what I have.
The only question they can answer yes is how do you plead guilty?
The PCs, they want to call themselves the Party of Yes. So yeah, the PCs, they say yes to spending more of your money than the Liberals did before them. The PCs said yes to critical race theory and punishing people for subconscious racism. The PCs say yes to mask mandates, to vaccine mandates, to you losing your jobs or your education based on a personal medical decision.
Criminal activity.
They said yes to maintaining their emergency powers when there was no state of emergency. Now, do you remember that bill that allowed for those emergency powers? Yeah, Bill 195, the ROA, the lockdown bill as we like to call it. And you know, one of the things that I was very passionate about, and Patrick is here and he knows well because we work closely together, thanks for coming Patrick, was that I would actually read the bills. Every single bill that goes across that table, government bill, opposition bill, I'm reading the bill. I am reading that bill. So, when this bill was tabled by the Solicitor General, Sylvia Jones, MPP, candidate for Dufferin-Caledon, where's Andrea? Is Andrea here? We want to give her lots of support. She's running in Dufferin-Caledon. When she tabled the bill, now keep in mind, this is the minister that I was working with because in 2018 I was elected under the PC banner because I, like many other Ontarians, like many of you, got fooled. And thought that we were going to get a conservative government, which we didn't. So we're 2020, I'm the parliamentary assistant to the Solicitor General, and I read the bill, and I'm shocked. And I don't believe that I'm reading it right, because it's that bad. So I bring it home, and I ask Jim, because he's a lawyer, and I say, honey, you really got to read this bill. I'm pretty sure it allows Doug Ford and his cabinet ministers to maintain their emergency powers without there being a state of emergency. And there would be no debate. There's no voting on any of the decisions that they make. So this lockdown act was taking away one of the main jobs that our elected members have, to debate and vote on rules, laws, and legislation that would affect all of Ontario, all Ontarians. So Jim reads the bill, and he's also shocked, and he can't believe it. It was as I understood it. The PCs wanted complete control. They wanted to forego the democratic process, and they wanted to make all the decisions.
Sounds like communism.
Bingo. So the day comes now, the big vote on the PC party's lockdown bill. And on July 21st, 2020, I vote no. And I was the only former or current PC member to vote against that legislation. And for daring to exercise my right to vote on behalf of the many people who elected me, and on behalf of many Ontarians who saw the evil in this bill, for daring to do my job, I was kicked out of the PC party.
How dare you?
And unfortunately, so too were 19 loyal volunteers, and some of them are in the room as well today. Wow. The PC party, they wanted everyone to know that having a different opinion and showing loyalty to anyone other than the party was not acceptable.
Wow.
But, as all things do, there's good that comes from it, right? And so two good things came from this expulsion. One, it brought attention to the bill, because had I not voted against it, and had I not been kicked out, this bill would have flown right under the radar.
Wow.
And the second good thing, it was the catalyst for the creation of the New Blue Party of Ontario. You guys called, you emailed, Jim and I directly, and you urged us not to give up. Because most people, after being what we've been through in politics, would have packed it up and probably headed out of the province, to be quite honest. But you asked us to continue. You asked us to continue to be a voice for the thousands of Ontarians that have no political home because your parties have abandoned you. The parties that claim to be for the people and for workers were in fact only for the lobbyists and for themselves. So we created a new party, the New Blue Party of Ontario. To fight for you and to fight for all Ontarians. And so I continued to show up at the legislature, even during the time when Jim was battling cancer. And he is now better than ever. You'll see him soon. And I continued to read the many bills that were tabled from both the governing PCs and the opposition. I continued to listen to the debates if I couldn't physically be present. And while watching the legislative channel can be very boring, I'm sure a lot of you know, it was amazing to watch the NDP scream, "Spend more!" And the PC's happily saying, "We are spending more." And I'm saying, well, these parties are agreeing on everything. They all agreed on forcing critical race theory into our schools. I was the only one to vote against it.
Yeah.
They all agreed on forcing a carbon tax on Ontarians, which is making life more unaffordable.
Tax the tax.
They all agreed that people should be fired from their jobs or not be allowed to attend school if they do not show proof of vaccination against COVID-19. They all agreed that parents should not have choice in their child's education. They all agreed that the emergency powers they gave themselves for the Freedom Convoy in January and February should be made permanent, and they did just that with Bill 100. Yes. And if that wasn't bad enough, all the lovely promises that were made to us back in 2018 have not been fulfilled. The PCs failed to reduce electricity rates. Our rates have gone up. They failed to reduce the annual deficit spending. We've seen the largest deficit spending ever, even with the Liberals, ever. They failed to reduce taxes. Taxes actually went up when this government implemented an industrial carbon tax. And they failed our manufacturing sector, with hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs lost over the last 4 years. The PCs claimed they wanted to get rid of the taxpayer subsidy for political parties. And instead, they increased how much money that their parties get.
100 billion.
Lots and lots of money. And they didn't take down any wind turbines. So, I went to Queen's Park, and I asked them these questions. And you've seen the videos. Do we ever get any answers? No. Never. Never. Why? Because they look across the aisle and they see one little woman. And while I make them uncomfortable, they think, yeah, it's no big deal. What they don't see is the tens of thousands of people who are behind your support and encouragement and engagement, we have been able to continue to challenge the left and change the narrative, despite the many challenges that have been put in our way. When we sound the alarm on things like the code of conduct for marriage officiants, the PCs, they wanted to create a code of conduct for anyone who conducted marriages. They would create this code of conduct. And if you failed to abide by it, they could revoke your license. So we rang the alarm, and you guys stepped up, and MPPs were called and they were emailed. And guess what? That part of the bill was removed. Yay! When we sounded the alarm about voter fraud in internal party elections and tried to put through a bill to make it illegal, the PC said they wouldn't support it. But you called and you emailed your MPPs, and it passed second reading. But, there was a little but there, not before the PC said they wanted to add an opt-out clause, and that their party would opt out. Of course. Imagine that, opting out of any type of punishment if fraud is conducted in an internal party election. And then, of course, they let my bill die at committee. The PC party doesn't want those kinds of rules. That's the problem. And then when we sounded the alarm on Bill 67, Racial Equity in the Education System Act, a concerned mom, Catherine Cronus, she stepped up. And she said, let's get a petition going and spread the word. Let's put some heat on them. Let's put the pressure on. And she started stopwoke.ca. And with your help, again, and thousands upon thousands of other people who signed, we gathered signatures and I presented them at the legislature. And that bill died at committee too. We have done so much with just one MPP in the Ontario legislature. Get done when there's more of us. We all support and believe and hope for a better, stronger Ontario. And I know some of you may have never voted before. You consider yourself not very political. I've met some of you are former NDP, Liberal, some of you are former PC or Green voters. That's all right. Because we are here, all of us, together, right here, right now. A passionate, highly engaged group of people. The fringe minority. Like I said, it's pretty amazing that we pulled in similar numbers to Doug Ford's event last night. Because we're not so fringe, are we? So, could I have predicted that we would be here, starting and supporting a new provincial party together? Taking on the establishment. I never could have predicted this. But there is nowhere else I would rather be. And through all of the gray clouds of the last 4 years, but the last 2 years especially, this is our silver lining. Actually, it's our gold lining. And together, we will do the one thing that will make the biggest difference. More than any email, more than any handwritten letter, more than any phone call. We're going to vote. We're going to vote. Because every vote for the new Blue Party is a vote for liberty,
Yes.
for stability,
Yes.
and for good government. And it sends a message to Doug Ford and his PC party that what they did over the last 4 years was not acceptable. He does not get a pass. Because we have a real conservative option, a party with real solutions, a team made up of real people, nurses, teachers, law enforcement, actresses, a professional athlete, authors, entrepreneurs, former military. You name it, we got it. Let's support them this month. Get a lawn sign. Tell your friends, volunteer, donate. Because we can't rely on the media, and we don't. We do not. Because we have been grassroots from the very beginning. And that is how we will continue to grow, and that is how we will succeed. Many hands make light work, as we say.
That's right.
So, this is it. It is time for a new Blue Ontario.
Let's do it.
Our future is gold. Our future is blue and gold.
That's right.
And we got this because it's new blue in 22.
That's right.
All right. And now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to a man who needs no introduction.
Yes.
The man who started the National Axe the Carbon Tax campaign.
Yes.
The man who has worked tirelessly to work from the inside when it came to the corruption of the PC party by forming the Take Back Our PC Party campaign. The man who was personally sued by the PC party. Their attempt at silencing him, but he won in court. And while many people would have given up at this point and said, what's the point? This man did not do that. He kept pushing. He kept moving forward. And all the while being a supportive and loving husband to me and father to our son. Woo! Put your hands together. Stand if you're able. He's the leader of the New Blue Party of Ontario, Jim Carholio!
Wow. Thank you, everybody. Now this is an Axe the Carbon Tax rally, right? This is an Axe the Carbon Tax. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you for coming. And thank you to those across Ontario who supported us and allowed us to kickstart this campaign today. Thank you for all the prayers over the years and the support. A thank you, a special thank you to our candidates who signed up. Their commitment to put their name on the ballot infused hope in us to keep moving forward. And thank you to Belinda. It will be tough for me to match Belinda's presence on this stage. An impossible act to follow, but I'm gonna do my best. Belinda makes us proud, and I'm honored to say I'm your husband. Her spirit and her resolve to keep moving forward and her commitment allowed today to be possible. And I want to thank our son Victor, who has an exceptional mother. Belinda and Victor have endured so much over the last few years, and I love them very, very much for their sacrifice and for always being there. We gather today in the middle of an unprecedented journey that we're on. To get to this place, we've had to endure quite a bit of pain. And that's all of us, and many that are not here today. Many across Ontario felt pain far deeper than any of us will ever know. Some of them are still struggling to get back on their feet. Sure, it's true, the PCs sued me in 2017, and they've rigged elections, and they promised they wouldn't do it again, and Doug Ford did it again in 2018. And many tried to cover up their actions, and they kicked Belinda out of caucus, and they kicked 19 of her allies out of the party. And yes, they shame and they disparage. But our history pales in comparison to the pain felt by Ontarians across this province by those very same political actors. The nurses, the small business owners, students, moms, and dads of Ontario children. For the last 2 years, we've seen the political establishment take the same hostility they show to those who stand up to them inside internal party politics, and they decided to turn it on every single person in Ontario that dared to disagree. They came up with a new term, They use the phrase public health as a wedge to divide us. Nurses lost their jobs. Students lost their educations. Colleges, universities. Moms were threatened in parks. People lost loved ones. And our democracy was hijacked. Recently, I was in Peterborough, speaking at a restaurant, Peter Burgers, that was shut down. A mom came up to me. She wanted to thank Belinda, let's be honest. For questioning the Ford government about why they were allowing police to go to a park and threaten her for not putting a mask on her child. If it wasn't for Belinda questioning the Ford government, she said, and for us bringing awareness to that issue, many may have not heard about it. A few months ago, I remember a woman calling me about her mom who fell sick. Desperate to get early treatment for COVID that we had been talking about on the radio station, that very few Ontarians knew was available here. But by the time she got a hold of me, it was too late. Her mom fell ill into a coma, and it was too late for that early treatment. These people didn't ask for that from their government. They were just living their lives. They were living their lives based on a common understanding of the values and the principles we thought that our government in Ontario would always respect. They weren't asking and crying for the system to change. They weren't crying for a revolution. The system changed on them. The system turned on them. We were luckier. I wasn't in school in the last 2 years, and we were able to find alternative arrangements for our son. Somewhere we didn't have to wear a mask. But I often think about what it would have been like if all of this happened in the last 2 years while I was still a youngster and my dad was still around. I grew up in a small business, cutting potatoes in the basement of my dad's fish and chip shop. There was a time inside the PC party where that was to be ridiculed. Oh, another Greek in a restaurant, they'd say. My mom helped my dad run the business, and before she married my dad, she ran a hair salon. They took pride in their business, and the last 2 years, I took pride that that's how they made me the person I am. Restaurant owners and those that operate hair salons, amongst many other businesses, were the hardest hit in the last 2 years. But like my parents, many Ontarians, they came here because Ontario, this place told them, and those that came before them, that this was the place that was going to be built on the values and principles that we all shared. That they could run their businesses and enjoy maximum use of the fruits of their own labor, and government would respect that. Such a simple principle. That they could participate in the political process without fear of retribution. That the government wouldn't come after them for holding a different opinion in politics. And that they would never be ashamed of believing in an almighty God. For my parents, and like most Ontarians, They didn't come here to raise their family in search of a better future. They didn't send me down to cut potato peels for an award or a red carpet. There's no coverage on the news. There was no victory. They didn't come here for that. They didn't do all of those things for acknowledgement. They raised their family and they did the best they could to provide a better future because it was the right thing to do. And like many of you, it's not always easy. There were fights along the way. They had a whiny son who wanted to go play ball instead of cutting potatoes. And then he wanted to talk about politics when Dad told him to stop talking about politics. And the potatoes are waiting. I was lucky though. My parents worked hard and allowed me to go to the schools that others around the world dream of going to. I was able to do a civil engineering degree at the University of Toronto, then I went to law school. My dad forgave me for doing that. My wife forgave me for going to law school, and I hope all of you have forgiven me. But despite my dad's warnings, I often took those shared values and principles for granted. It could never be in this place that I was born that those shared values and principles would be turned on their head. No way. Not in Ontario. Maybe somewhere far away. Some time before I was born. The first, Belinda and I saw it up close and personal, inside internal party politics, how those simple values and principles are turned on their head. And the powers that be, they get hostile. And then we had to watch them do it to regular Ontarians, hard-working Ontarians for the last 2 years. But like my parents and like all of you here, Ontarians keep moving forward. And unlike politicians like Doug Ford and the PC party, Ontarians expect their leaders to keep their commitments. That is what we have done, and that is what we will continue to do. Keep our commitments, from a commitment to axe the carbon tax, to fight voter fraud, to stand up for the grassroots. And when Belinda says she's going to Queen's Park to represent her constituents and stand up for her conscience, we keep our commitments. And when we say we're going to build a new and blue political party and run a candidate in every single riding across this province, we stick to our commitments and we deliver 124 candidates in our first election. That is what Ontarians expect of their political leaders. Keep moving forward and keep your commitments.
That's right.
Ontarians have known something's wrong with the political process. They know the people that are supposed to represent them and supposed to work for them, they're not doing it. Sometimes they can't put their finger on it. Maybe they don't know how to articulate it. But when I travel from Fort Erie to Toronto to Ottawa to Niagara, if I'm on the phone with someone in Thunder Bay or Windsor, people know something is wrong. The pundits and the pollsters, they want to tell us everything's all right. We're just a little group here, they say. No one else in Ontario.
Why are they in for a surprise?
The establishment media wants to tell us that government parties, political parties operating On taxpayer money, that's okay. That's what everybody wants in Ontario. But Ontarians know something's not right. People losing their jobs over mandates, businesses shutting down, they know it's not right. Local bureaucrats have no idea how to run a business, shutting down small businesses. Lobbyists telling politicians how to vote. Reports of voter fraud in internal party elections, the media calls it inside baseball. They get together to fund themselves with taxpayer money and decide when churches are going to close.
Yeah, terrible.
There is no majority that agrees with that. Despite what they tell us, those are not the values and principles shared by Ontario voters. When you ask Ontarians if they agree on police threatening parents for not masking their children in a park, or bureaucrats finding their children at school for subconscious thoughts, with electricity rates skyrocketing, an economy stagnant, they do not agree with these fundamental matters. They know something is wrong. Ontarians have lost trust in their establishment political parties. They look at their PC government, over 100 years old, now is just the provincial wing of the Justin Trudeau Federal Liberal Party of Canada. They promised to be open for business. They shut down Ontario more often and longer than any jurisdiction in North America. They promised to grow an economy. It's been puttering at 1%, give or take. They promised to defend taxpayers by a pledge to axe the carbon tax. Then they deceived Ontarians by bringing it back, an industrial carbon tax, and cutting a deal with Justin Trudeau to bring in that industrial carbon tax way before the courts decided, because they knew they were going to throw that case. They threw that case, hundreds of millions of dollars in court, to concede 2 of the 3 arguments against the carbon tax in court. A show to deceive us. They promised tax relief. Gave us license plate stickers. They promised relief in electricity rates. They're building the biggest wind turbine project in Eastern Ontario, keeping the banana republic of the wind turbine scheme going. Everything the Liberals have installed, the PCs have left in place and have accelerated the pace. The party that promised religious freedom locked down churches and other places of worship. They promised to care for the sick. They withheld early treatment of COVID. They promised to stand up for parental rights. They kept the same curriculum in place with a different cover. And then they thought it was a good idea to fine our kids for subconscious racism. That's the PC party today. They were supposed to stand up for free speech, against cancel culture, respect the rights of MPPs, but they've embraced toxic, progressive, authoritarian policies. They hold their voters in contempt and are quickly trying to replace their voters with Justin Trudeau supporters. We have a challenge on our hands. We have to build a party to give hope, a principled option, because the establishment parties are no choice at all. People are demanding a chance, and we must give them a choice. And we know the enormity of the challenge on our hands. We will be ignored, we will be called names, and they deny us our impact. There will be no red carpets for our party. But if we are principled first and keep moving forward, the victories will take care of themselves. And so the question is, what does that mean of victory? Let me tell you some victories. When Belinda went to Queen's Park and tabled her first private member's bill to make voter fraud in internal party elections illegal for the first time in Ontario's history, that's a victory. When you all rallied behind her to stop the PCs from taking away religious liberty by imposing a marital code of conduct on marriage officiants, and they reversed course, that's a victory. When she stood as the only MPP to vote against Bill 67, stopping critical race theory and getting the PCs to flip their position, that is a victory. And when she was the only current or former PC MPP and the only politician in Canada to stand up and vote against her own government on a piece of lockdown legislation, that is a victory. Those are victories because we set the pace. We lead by example. Others later follow. They claim they were always there. Axe the carbon tax, they say. Fight voter fraud, of course. I'm against critical race theory, they say. Maybe I voted in favor of it. I was always against lockdowns, they say. I didn't know it was in the bill. Sure, they were quiet, they voted in favor. They say they were always there. But we know that without us organizing, without all of you, without us ensuring that we keep moving forward, those other political actors would have never got the courage to stand up and join along. And they will come and go. They'll go from federal to provincial, provincial to federal. But we won't be dismayed. We cannot stop because we know if we stop, things will get worse a whole lot faster. So we will keep moving forward and we will keep our commitments. We know where we're going. There's no red carpet. There's no elevator. There's no elevator at the top, blue, red, no color. But we're on a mission. And it's one step at a time. A mission to call out cronyism and stop the hijacking of our democracy. To call out those who want to leave us woke and broke. To stop the slander that says a parent who refuses to mask their child or take an injection in that child's heads or their veins is spreading misinformation. Stop that slander. Stop the slander that says those who expect their government to act with integrity are somehow fringe. We're going to stop that slander. But here's the good news. With every step we take, we gain momentum. And we have the platform, the new blueprint, that will continue to gain us momentum. We will offer the solutions the establishment parties and their controlled opposition agents will never discuss. We will fight to use legislation and fines and push for the banning of vaccine passports in the public or private sector. We will fight to roll back all of the legislation that was put forward under the guise of COVID, whether it was Bill 100, digital ID, or the power given to local bureaucrats. We're rolling them all back. And we will keep pushing for restitution for those that were harmed by Doug Ford's state of emergency, starting with the truckers who lost their business. Others will want to stop there. Others say that's enough.
Let's go, Justice.
I know you're in a hurry. I should probably wrap it up. Leave you now. It's getting hot in this room. Y'all ready to go canvassing and put the signs up? And we could have stopped right there. That'd be the platform. Just talking about COVID. Don't talk about anything else, they say. No one wants to hear about it. Don't worry about all the other things going on. That's it. COVID mandates, lockdowns. Let's just talk about that. You sure? Make the literature piece a lot smaller on the new blueprint. The controlled opposition doesn't want to talk about the other items. Ford PCs don't like it when Belinda questions them on the other items. But we got to ban lobbyists from internal party politics. Whether they own a Ferrari or not. We got to crack down on voter fraud in internal party elections and get Belinda's law on the books. And that $100 million of taxpayer money in the last 10 years, that's $10 million a year going to the establishment political parties to fund their nefarious internal party operations. We have to scrap that taxpayer subsidy and do such a good job that it never comes back. But we have more to go. The list is too long. Let's talk about the media. Let's talk about the media. Get that man 50 lawn signs and put him up tonight. Media is not talking about us. They've written the articles, 124 candidates, the only parties that have them in place, the PCs, and another candidate. It's like they don't know about us. They get upset if we put too many signs out in Cambridge, trying to shut down more democracy. Conservatives have always fought for a free press and to defund the establishment media of Justin Trudeau's taxpayer funding, right? And we're always told it's a federal issue, not provincial. But Doug Ford's found a way to emulate his buddy Justin in one more way, funding the establishment media. The Toronto Star was going broke 2 years ago. Would have been a good thing. We wouldn't have had to see that cover disparaging the unvaccinated. But their private equity buddies came, bought them off the stock market, and they had a plan, they said. What was this business plan they had? And it was unveiled last year, bragging about it. Toronto Star said, the Ford PC government's going to give us an online gambling license. Hundreds of millions of dollars from the pockets of those the Toronto Star claimed to defend, to keep their business going, their failed business going. And they don't like when we talk about it. But we're going to keep pushing to cancel and scrap that Ontario Toronto Star online gambling license. And the rest of that establishment media, what were they saying for the last 2 years? Maybe we should tax the unvaccinated. Taking taxpayer money from Justin Trudeau and asking Ontarians to pay an increased tax. Maybe we should tax the media that get the Justin Trudeau bailout subsidies. Conservatives used to say, we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. But under 20 years of Liberal and PC rule, we now have a revenue problem. This economy's been growing at 1%, 2% maybe. Even at their best projections, it's not much higher. We have to do everything we can to improve Ontario's economic productivity. Take-home pay is falling. We've got to turn it around. That starts with slashing red tape and reducing electricity rates. And we all know the only way to do that is take down those wind turbines.
Yes.
For far too long, the PC establishment class has told us you can't do that. You can't rip up a contract. You can't shut down businesses. Investment will go away from Ontario. No one want to open up shop here. You can't do that, they say. They want to allow a banana republic, 30-year wind turbine contracts that rip off Ontario ratepayers and put the pocket in a select few. Lobbyists running the show. They say we can't shut down businesses, but for the last 2 years, they did exactly that, whenever they want. If the Ontario government has the power to shut down small restaurants and hair salons and small businesses, then we have the power to take down those wind turbines and get electricity rates back to life. On tax relief, PCs and Liberals, every time they talk about tax relief, it's to give their corporate friends tax cut. Give them more money so they can put their woke agenda in the private sector. But for individuals, there hasn't been tax relief at the provincial level in 2 decades at least. It starts by axing Doug Ford's industrial carbon tax and putting the pressure back on Justin Trudeau if he wants to put in a carbon tax. Those costs on industry are passed on to every Ontario consumer. And when you have provincial governments putting in a carbon tax and a federal government putting in another one, you know what that's designed to do? To keep the carbon tax in place forever, regardless of when another government comes in federally. We got to do our part and get rid of that industrial carbon tax, and we also have to take tax relief by reducing the HST from 13 to 10%. But there's more to do in healthcare. We've got to expand early treatment for COVID. How they've been holding this back for 2 years, you have to look it up. And when you find the early treatment, you have to meet the criteria. It's a disgrace. We've got to clear the backlog of procedures and offer choice in services, but cleaning up healthcare has to start with rehiring those nurses who lost their jobs. We can't turn our backs on the public education system. We've got to reform it. We've got to push. Reduce those administrative costs. Stop woke activism that's still pushing forward by getting rid of critical race theory. We're going to start there. And for those, though, parents, they can't wait. They're done with the public school system. It's about time in this province we push forward for tax credits for those parents who find alternative educational settings for their children. That's our platform, the new blueprint. And we will take it to every door across this province, and we need your help and the help of thousands of people across Ontario to help our great candidates push it out on a grassroots level. The other political actors in this election, they're not talking about these issues. They're going to conceal their true intentions, but we're going to keep talking about the policies that matter most. We will continue to challenge and we will continue to change the course. That's what we will do.
Yeah.
The others will wait for lobbyists to tell them what to do. They'll go find lobbyists in other provinces, maybe even south of the border. But we don't need fancy lobbyists. We know what Ontarians want, because our party, from its members to its donors, to our riding presidents, to our candidates, are all Ontarians from different walks of life. Actors, nurses, small business owners, stay-at-home moms and dads, those in law, geologists, former military, former police, teachers, pastors, consultants, an elected councillor, an elected trustee, a former CFL player, 124 of them running to give Ontarians an option on the June 2nd election. Wrap it up and I'm leaving now. There's going to be challenges along the way. It's going to be hard. There's going to be swerves thrown at us in the next 30 days. It's going to come from everywhere, apologists for the establishment class. What drives us forward is our fear of failing the Ontarians that demand another option. It kept me working in the hospital on a hospital bed. They said, take it easy. I said, people depend on us. We got to keep moving forward, and we got to keep our commitments. The apologists, they'll say things like, oh, the PCs, the Liberals, the NDP. They didn't understand what they were voting for. They didn't read the bill. They'll say things like, the culture is against us. Pack it in. We can't win, they say. But we won't stop, because Ontario's future depends on us to keep moving forward. Anyone who's interested in challenging the establishment class will find a home in the New Blue Party. That's right. We are united. We are ready to welcome all those who want to change the course with a principled political option. But we will not destroy what we have built or slow down or enter into backroom negotiations, fire any one of our candidates, not run a full slate, quit, or stop moving forward to satisfy the establishment apologists who are determined to try to sabotage our efforts. We will not do that. Thank you, and that's why we're with you. Because our goal is more than just changing government, we must change the course. Our plan was to challenge the left, balance the narrative, and change the course. And today, we are continuing on that plan. We are doing that. We are keeping our commitments. We have already challenged the left. We have already balanced the narrative. The evidence is there for everyone to see. Doug Ford and the PCs are running from their track record going to the next election. The NDP and Liberal politicians, they can't even defend their own bills. We don't know how fast it will take for us to succeed. We don't know how fast we can get our measures implemented. We're not fortune tellers. The pundits, the pollsters, those with alternative agendas, they'll try to tear us down. But our belief in something is in something greater. We know that if we stop, things are going to get worse. We will continue in pursuit of a brighter tomorrow in action, not empty rhetoric. We say what we will do and we do it. That is what hope is. Hope in the face of a lawsuit to persevere and to win. Hope in the face of expulsion to say, we will not quit. We will fight on. We will build something new when the shackles of the old institutions have locked us out of the process. Hope to keep taking action and reaching out to new people when everyone around you says it's impossible, it won't work. That's hope. Not empty promises. Not action that one knows will fail, but they offer it anyway. Hope is a desire for a brighter tomorrow, based on necessary action to get there. The action that is lived without even knowing the result you're going to get. Because we know the righteous winds are at our back. And we have a belief in those things that are not yet seen. And if we stick to those values and principles that we know Ontarians share with us, we stick with our passion, with that same energy, that same drive, that same determination, that same hopefulness, and we work every day, there won't be any shortcuts. We will not compromise our values. We will continue with the same sense of urgency. Across Ontario, voters will learn about the New Blue Party. Leaders in every riding will share the message. Volunteers will knock on doors. Signs will be put up from Cambridge to Windsor, to Niagara to Ottawa to Kenora Rainy River, and everywhere in between. The left will be challenged. They will be pushed back. The narrative will be balanced. We will keep changing the course. Belinda will get re-elected. New Blue MPPs will be sent to Queen's Park. And out of this period of despair, a new and brighter day of opportunity will come to Ontario. And the best will finally come. Thank you very much. Thank you and God bless you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. All the best.
Okay, just a reminder that the snacks are coming out. Also, I will take some pictures, posters, maybe drinks. Hashtag Influ22. Hashtag Influ Ontario. Hashtag Influ Candidate. Hashtag Get Rid of Doug Ford.